Welcome everybody to Austin, Texas and South by Southwest 2016.
All right, so today I have with me Pat Ramsey. Cheers.
Cheers. Slanche.
What'd you say?
Slanche.
Solanche, yeah.
Skol.
What are we sipping on?
Garrison Brothers, Texas small batch bourbon.
And it's tasty. So if you have is this like a paid commercial? No. So anyway,
Do we get more whiskey?
What was that?
Do we get more whiskey?
If we get more whiskey,
Okay.
then this is a paid commercial.
There we go.
Just like, well, I mean, paid when you send us the whiskey.
Compensatory, yeah.
Yeah. That was good. Good use of compensatory. So I have Pat here, and we're hanging out in downtown Austin, and South by Southwest Interactive has been going on for a day or so, and we've had some good times, but none of those times have been together, spent hanging
not
out.
yet.
So tell me what you've been up to.
I have been wandering the streets, just kind of hanging out and seeing who's where and what's going on. Working the Festival of Badgeless and just kind of spending the day making connections with people I haven't seen in a while, meeting new folks and seeing what's going on.
And you do what in Austin?
Cook large amounts of crawfish, enjoy the weather,
Yeah.
hang with the family, and very, very active, or getting more active back in the Austin WordPress meetup.
Okay. And what's your day job?
Day job, I run the ongoing client services department for Crowd Favorite. I work with clients on an ongoing basis as opposed to just clients who come in and have a project done with us. We have clients who work with us over long periods of time, and my job is to make sure that we are partnering with them and taking care of all their needs.
Tell me about a time when you have had a really difficult client, what that issue was. Just tell me the story.
The most difficult client was one of my first clients ever.
Oh, this sounds juicy. So
Well, no, not juicy, but it was it was the trial by fire for somebody who's fresh out of college and I'm going to do all this web stuff and it's this all brand new awesome thing.
Were you freelancing at the time?
Oh yeah, total freelancing.
So you were a freelancer.
Yeah, total freelancing and made every mistake in the book.
Okay, so you got into it because you wanted to make more money. Got into it because you thought you could quit your job.
That was the career. That was the career where I was going. I was finishing school, and at the time the decision was, do I want to be a starving journalism photographer? Photojournalist, go out and get paid shit and do that, or do I want to try this web thing, which kind of looks pretty cool.
Okay.
It was just taking off.
So you were graduating college, and you said, I have a choice.
Yeah.
I can either go work for a traditional paper or something like that.
Yeah, go that route, yeah.
Or I can freelance.
Freelance as a photographer or something like that. Which,
okay. You could either be a starving journalist or you could be a starving entrepreneur. One of the two, right?
Well, I wasn't thinking of it as an entrepreneur at that time.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking of it as an entrepreneur. I was thinking of forming a business, which shows my lack of business skills at that moment. I had none at all whatsoever.
Okay, so what did you do when you first started? So you got out of college.
Got out of college, yeah. Tried doing a couple of sites for myself, just saying, oh yeah, I'll freelance and I'll build websites. And that experience failing was so miserable and so painful that I said, to hell with this. And I went more traditional hardware route for a while. Worked at some computer shops. Went into higher ed, did technology and IT and higher ed, but then through that got pulled back into the web. Worked for myself for 6 or 7 years at the time.
So you started making money at that point?
Yeah.
And immediately?
No, not immediately,
okay.
But slowly. I got some clients through some agencies here in town. I started learning more about the business. Their agency, there are price points that agencies are going to say, well, below this price point, it doesn't make sense for us to take the job. But, somebody needs to. There's a need there. There's a market there. And so for somebody starting out, again, kind of coming out and starting out on my own, that was an attractive field because there were all these people who needed sites built who didn't have anybody to do that for them. And I learned more and more and more about actually doing things a bit more like a business instead of like a freelancer.
Okay, so tell me about that. So you started out and you weren't making a ton of money, but you built up your client base over time.
Yeah, built up my client base, built up the referral base, got more and more inroads with the agencies. And looking at the data after doing it for a while was what really started opening those doors. I tracked everything, and then I would spend the holidays going through and looking back all the data over the last year. Here's every site, every client, every project that I built. What did I bill at? What did I make? How much time did it take? How big were the projects? How long did it take to do them? And once I did that, I threw all that into a couple of spreadsheets, and then I can identify at that point which ones were most profitable, which ones took the least amount of time, which ones brought in the most money, who were the people that brought me the most work, who were my return clients, people, agencies or individuals who needed other sites built again and again and again. And then I could start making educated decisions on what I wanted to do to grow this business, to actually be a business. Stop being just a freelancer and become more as a business.
So the two things I heard was that you were optimizing the clients that you had and the relationships that you had, and you were also iterating. So you were
from data. The first thing I was doing was tracking.
So you were collecting.
If you're not tracking or collecting if you're not collecting your data, you have no idea what to do from there. Everything you do is just a hunch.
What types of data?
How long did it take to do projects? Who brought me more than one project? Who brought me the most projects? What size projects was I getting? Which one, and so basically you do all this, you put all your numbers in, and then a beautiful mind, you look and you start to see the patterns. Oh, hey, look, these 3 people brought me 60% of my work over the last year. I should send them something nice and go for more work from them.
So you looked at where your lead generation was coming from. You looked at how valuable that was, and which relationships then you needed to foster to get additional work.
Right, and which type of sites were I building that gave me the most return? Which ones was I, which had the best bang for buck?
Right.
This amount of time to build, but I build at this level versus this level versus this level, things like that. And you start to identify the types of projects you should go for, the people who you should be paying more attention to. Is there an area that maybe you could focus more on? Are you looking at your losses, ones that got turned away or didn't come back, or you turned away?
Okay, so business analytics was one piece. I imagine there was a second piece, and that was kind of business mechanics, right? So that was standardizing paperwork. Did you do any stuff like that around the operation of the business?
Come up with a template for contracts, come up with a template for statements of work, come up with that common language, and just have that ready to turn out. So basically, like a master agreement that you would send off to anybody, and then you'd have your customization piece here, which is here's what we're going to do for you. But here's all the stuff, how we work, what we work, blah 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 blah, and here's what we're going to do for you. So templating that to a large degree saves so much on time.
So creating repeatable processes.
Exactly.
That you could then spend less time and money working on.
I can spend more for my time than I was before, because now I'm spending less time on little one-off things that I have to do for every client, where if I'm doing the same thing again and again for every client, there should be a way for us to automate that to some degree.
Yeah, and then you're spending more time on revenue generating.
Yes.
So, got it.
Yeah, play to your strengths. And if I'm a developer, I should try to automate all of my non-developmental stuff and play to my strengths as a developer, which is what brings people in to, gets me paid.
Got it. That's all great advice. In one sentence, I want you to tell me what you would tell the business world, because people know that you are a businessman with a lot of experience, and that you've been around and know a great deal about running a successful business. Now you're working for a successful company. You've given plenty of advice to people in the Austin community, the WordPress community, the business community, and beyond, because your reach goes further than that. Now, I can say that, and you can feel a little weird about it because we're on camera and it's okay. But what I want is, if in one sentence you can tell the people watching this what you would advise them when starting out with their very first business, so that they don't run into the same crazy obstacles. Now, you can think about it for a little bit, because I know that it's going to take some time, but this is the last thing I'm going to put you on the spot for. So,
the one piece of advice I would offer in one sentence
Now, it doesn't have to be one piece of advice. It could be a compound sentence.
A compound sentence.
Yes.
All right. I'll look for the semicolons. I would say failure is just a way to learn. And I think I'll stop at that. Because it is. I mean, I can expand on the one
Please
sentence.
expound.
But the one sentence, failure is just a way to learn, is true. I failed right out the gate trying to do websites for myself because I had no clue what I was doing. But I didn't know that until I failed.
Yeah.
And you know, at the time, I did say, screw it, I'm out, and I ran, did something else. But then when I got back in, I was better able to succeed because I had learned from not only that failure, but also things I'd learned along the way.
So you're saying there's no way to anticipate where you're going to succeed, where you're going to fail. Just
There
get
is.
in there.
There is. No, there is, absolutely. You should try to do some basic homework. I mean, some business 101 should be done.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a business, you should have some business 101. If that means you get knocked on your butt and then you figure out what you did wrong and you pick yourself up and you move forward, you've learned from that.
So you failed multiple times.
Sure.
And you picked yourself up. And
Sometimes
you learned
painfully, sometimes, you know, I want to go crawl in bed and not see the world, but,
Yeah.
you know,
And
you got to get over it. Get over yourself, you know.
and you learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
And now you've become successful because you've paid attention to those mistakes.
I like to think
You've learned
so.
the lessons. and now you get to be where you are because of all the things that you learned along the way.
I think, yeah, with a great team, a great company, doing some great work.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Pat.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And enjoy your South by Southwest.
And you too. Cheers.
Cheers.